Northeast Ohio's #1 choice for news. Cleveland's own Fox 8 News starts now.
Right now, an exclusive investigation. The Fox 8 I-team went undercover inside local trash trucks to try to find out how much of your recycling is ending up in the garbage dump.
Here's what we did. We put trackers in with recycling and followed them. Some of their findings will shock you tonight. I-team reporters Peggy Gallick and Ed Gallick live right here to show us more.
That's right. See what we found in your town.
You do the right thing, separating recycling from your trash. The tracker showed some of you wasting your time. The I-team planning secret spies in your recycling, GPS trackers.
And they send a trail of electronic signals to show us, where does this stuff really go?
When you recycle, you're supposed to wash out all your containers, take all the labels off. I do that.
Every week, Diana Allen recycles, like so many of you, thinking she is helping protect the planet, keeping plastic and paper and more out of landfills.
But is that happening? The I-team wanted to find out, so we placed 7 GPS trackers in recycling containers throughout Northeast Ohio. Then we watched the signals. They're all washed out.
First, Cleveland. This satellite image shows a tracker nestled in the recycling picked up in Tremont, then taken to a city trash transfer station on Ridge Road. Then 72 hours later, it landed in Oberlin.
Cleveland officials told us all recyclables go here in Bay 1. Trash goes in the other bays. If items are recyclable, they get taken out of this bay and hauled out with recycling.
But notice, the tracker was taken from this bay and mixed in with the other trash. Then 72 hours later, it landed in Oberlin.
Skyfox shows us the tracker in that recycling was treated as trash, ended up in a landfill. Diana, disgusted.
That makes me mad. You know, like who's running the city? Seriously.
What do you think when I tell you that one of the trackers, the first one we put in at the curbside in Cleveland, went to the landfill?
I would say I'm not surprised.
The I-team went to Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson. Last spring, we revealed of all recycling collected in the city, work crews dumped up to 90% of it in with regular trash.
The mayor admitted then the recycling program is not working. Promised to hire a consultant to figure out how to fix it. Months later, our tracker suggests not much has changed.
City Hall still in the process of hiring that consultant. Many of you still wasting time recycling.
We had to fix our system, and our system is just not functioning the way it should, because our ultimate goal is that we want to recycle.
Meantime, look at why it often doesn't matter if you put out clean recycling in Cleveland.
Paper, boxes, and glass.
The city has said so much of it goes to a landfill because so many of your neighbors put garbage in with recycling.
So we decided to check some other towns.
Strongsville, a tracker showed us where this recycling went.
We followed the route taken by the hauler, and finally it led us to Lorain County, a recycling transfer station.
Lorain County, a recycling transfer station. Skyfox gives us a look from above.
The signal shows this tracker ended up where it was expected, a recycling transfer station. And in Streetsboro, we never saw the end of the line with this recycling.
Our signal died shortly after this tracker got picked up. It may have gotten crushed. Back to Cleveland. Look at what we found week after week when we checked the recycling dumpster at City Hall. All kinds of garbage thrown in with recycling right below the mayor's office.
So we put a tracker in here too.
And watch, you guessed it.
Since there's so much garbage mixed in with the City Hall recycling bin, it all ended up mixed in with trash.
How would you say City Hall does at recycling?
I don't know. I really don't.
This is what we found in the recycling bin outside of City Hall. We shared our photos with the mayor and the chief operating officer.
Shared how the tracker in the City Hall dumpster was mixed in with trash. The mayor admits even recycling at City Hall doesn't work.
At the end of the day, you're trying to make a point that we're not disagreeing with. It does not work.
Yet, no urgency. Again, the city has talked about hiring a consultant to start looking at how to fix the problem since last spring, and hiring that consultant may still take 2 more months. No wonder taxpayers are irritated.
I was really upset. I was really angry because I figure, you know, here I'm a senior doing all this, and now they're just mixing it up.
Cleveland not the only place where our trackers ended up in a landfill.
Tomorrow on Fox 8 News, come with us to some more of your neighborhoods and see what we found.
Tracy and I, like so many people out there, take recycling
Sure do.
very seriously, so our jaws really are dropping watching that. But let me focus back on the city of Cleveland. The mayor really did not offer you any explanation, did he?
No, and those trackers leave a trail you have a hard time arguing with. Plus, how about all that garbage we found in the City Hall recycling dumpster
Right.
below the mayor's office?
It's just, this is an eye-opening report. Looking forward to it tomorrow.
You bet.
Absolutely, we'll have more.
Thank you. Well, the impeachment process took another step forward today in Washington. The House of Representatives approved a resolution to formalize its procedures for the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Fox 8's Elizabeth Nareka joins us now with more on what happened today. Liz?
Tracy, 2 House Democrats broke ranks today, voting against moving forward with impeachment, but it wasn't enough to stop it. The resolution passing 232 to 196. It was not a vote to impeach the president, but it does set out how lawmakers will move the inquiry into its next phase. It was the first time the full House chamber took a vote related to the matter. The resolution only details the process of the inquiry, which will include public hearings, likely beginning before Thanksgiving. At issue is a whistleblower complaint alleging that the president tried to pressure Ukraine into investigating former vice president and presidential candidate Joe Biden and his son. Diplomats testified about the July phone call and whether President Trump intended to use military aid for the country as leverage for an investigation. Representatives on both sides spoke on Capitol Hill before today's vote.
This is a sad day. It's a sad day because nobody comes to Congress to impeach a president of the United States. No one.
You may get elected in a primary, but in a general election, you're elected to represent the people of America, not to deny their voice. This House is so much better than what is transforming today.
Immediately after the vote, President Trump took to Twitter saying the greatest witch hunt in American history. President Trump denies any wrongdoing in that controversial call with Ukraine's leader, which is at the center of this inquiry. There's no timetable yet for public hearings, but they could start soon. But House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler had earlier said his committee could vote on articles of impeachment before Christmas.
Much more to come. Thank you, Liz.
The Fox 8 I-Team learns a Cleveland police officer was arrested and charged with rape. Matthew Piter is a 2nd District police officer. The police union president says he is now on unpaid leave. Documents allege Piter forcefully pushed a woman into a wall and sexually assaulted her. His attorney tells the I-Team Piter will be found not guilty once the facts here come out. Now to exclusive video from the Fox 8 I-Team. Local police are investigating 2 cases of people getting robbed at gunpoint while using an ATM. This is security video from midnight, October 10th on Rockside Road in Garfield Heights. The suspect comes up behind the victim and forces him to the ground.
I saw the gun. He had the gun on me the whole time. And when he told me to lay down on the ground, I thought that was it. He was going to execute me. But, you know, he just grabbed my wallet out of my hand. I fought him for a little bit, and then I decided just to let him take the wallet. And he took $140 out of my wallet, but he didn't get anything out of the ATM machine.
Well, the other robbery happened on September 11th. Call Garfield Heights Police if you have any information.
The Fox 8 I-Team giving you the first look at police video after a crash that killed the girlfriend of a Cleveland Browns player. And we're learning more about the investigation. The video shows an ambulance screaming away as Cleveland police body camera video gives you a closer look at the damage. Police say Browns lineman Chris Smith told them one of his tires blew out and his car hit a wall. Another driver then crashed into his car and hit and killed his girlfriend, who was standing outside the car just off the highway. Police say the second driver admitted that she had been drinking, and a police report now shows she claimed that she was distracted by a bug in her car. No charges have been filed. A portion of I-90 West was shut down this morning after a semi-driver hit a guardrail and spilled diesel fuel all over the highway. This happened at West 25th Street. Hazmat crews were called to clean up the mess. No word on whether or not anyone was hurt.
A popular Cleveland businessman and one-time mayoral candidate is in financial trouble. Tony Matalone defaulted on more than $250,000 worth of business loans. Back in June, Huntington Bank filed a lien on 2 loans to Matalone's company. He's the owner of Fresh Brewed Teas and Fresh Brewed Coffee in Ohio City. He ran against Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson in 2017 and lost. Tossed in the trash and left for dead tonight, a local veterinarian is hoping to track down the woman who dumped 4 kittens and 3 cats in a trash can outside their office. Roosevelt Leftwich here now with the story, and Rosie, also the evidence left behind.
Yeah, Lou, 7 cats in total. The good news is that they're all safe and sound tonight, but the story could have had a very bad ending. Now, this all started yesterday when a woman called the Great Lakes Veterinary Specialist office in Warrensville Heights to say that she had 7 cats that she could not take care of. Now, as a vet's office, they really weren't able to take them in, so they offered the woman suggestions of shelters and places that could take them in. Now, a few hours later, right here, this happened. The office's security camera was rolling as the woman returned and left the cats right there in a trash can outside. The surveillance camera is grainy, so you can't make out her face or license plate, but they say that's not really the point here. The moral of the story is simple. There are a lot of better ways than leaving animals outside in the dark to fend for themselves. Even if you can't afford to pay the surrender fee to a shelter, you can let them know your circumstances, and they say that odds are there that there will be someone, organization, willing to help you out.
We're located extremely close to the freeway. They could have got startled. They could have got hit by, anything. So at least at that point, if that's your choice you're going to make, bring them in the clinic and walk away. We'd rather have them safely inside.
Now, police say they are aware of the situation and are working with the vet clinic. All of the cats, however, have been taken into foster care with the Forever Friends Foundation and eventually will be put up for adoption.
And Rosie, you alluded to it, but it's worth saying it in capital letters. There is help out there. Just got to go and find it.
Exactly. I mean, there's always shelters and stuff that are willing to take it. And also, this also brings home the importance of having animals spayed or neutered.
Sure does. Rosie, thank you. Daylight saving time ends this Sunday, meaning we will fall back and gain an hour of sleep.
But this may be one of the last times that you'll need to change your clocks. A proposed state law would do away with the time change. Our Matt Wright looked into the pros and cons of the proposal and joins us now with much more.
Tracy Liu, under this proposal, Ohio would join a growing number of states working to stop shifting time twice a year. The time change was first introduced as a wartime effort to save energy, but recent studies show it no longer achieves that.
Times are changing, and that may soon mean an end to the time change.
This time change acrobatics is no good for anybody.
State Senator Christina Rogner from Hudson introduced a bill this year that would make daylight saving time permanent in Ohio. We would no longer fall back, and it would stay light later through winter.
When people come home from work or come home from school, there'll still be time to work in the yard, do a sport, get some exercise, outdoor activity.
Under the proposal, the latest winter sunrises wouldn't happen until almost 9 a.m., with sunset around 6 p.m. Supporters say it would reduce crime and eliminate sleep loss caused by springing forward. Opponents point out permanent daylight saving time would mean going to school and work in the dark.
What's happening then is you're pushing sunrise and sunset back by an hour. So you're making evenings lighter, but at the expense of darker mornings. So there's trade-offs involved in that decision.
Miami University professor Austin Smith studied the impact of the time change on fatal crashes and testified before the Senate.
What has your research found on daylight saving time?
What we found was an increase in accidents right after the transition in the spring.
States like Florida have already voted to make the change, but it requires federal approval. President Trump tweeting his support for permanent daylight saving time earlier this year. Rogner says, one way or another, it's time to do away with the time change.
We should have eliminated this many years ago because just the injuries, the accidents, the illnesses that it causes.
Right now, there is similar legislation at the federal level. Senator Rogner says she plans to introduce a resolution pushing the U.S. Congress to act on this. She says she is also open to Ohio remaining on standard time year-round. That would mean an earlier sunrise and sunset in the summer months.
Very interesting, Matt. Now, I have a friend who has never figured out how to change the clock in her car, so, I mean,
That would be me.
You too? You're
That's
not the
me.
one I was
I
talking
thought you were talking about me.
Somebody else.
Hopefully it's on the right time if we do go to a consistent time.
Reading the tea leaves, I know there's arguments on both sides.
Right.
You have any idea where this will eventually end up?
Well, right now it's still in committee, so it's still early in the process. A lot of debate still to happen with it. And the key thing is, even if the Ohio legislature does pass this into law, it would still be several years before it would take effect, giving other surrounding states and the federal government more time to come on board as well.
Could be a slow process. All right,
Yeah,
Matt, thanks so much. All right, want to take a look at the weather right now. And Andre, you said that the state tried doing this, back in the 70s?
Yeah, it was once or twice that they just kept it year round. And one of the problems in the winter is it stays dark until 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So not good for the kids. So pros and cons. Yeah, it goes both ways. Well, we don't have to worry about that for a while, sounds like, but let's take a look at the current weather. Well, 6 hours ago it was lousy. Let me just say it like it is. It was lousy. But then there's that little break right in here. 4:30, 5 o'clock, we started seeing some brighter breaks. The cloud ceiling lifted up. In addition to that, the rain quit, at least the steady rain. Now, we're not totally doing away with the rain because these clouds are a little productive. We'll show you and zoom in here in just a second. But the steady rains, the ones from this morning, moved out. We ended up with about an inch of rain and a lot of backyards and a lot of rain gauges across the area. There is more upstream. Some wraparound moisture isn't showing up on the Cleveland Doppler weather radar just yet, but let's show you what's happening right now. There are a couple of little bands of some precip, but most of these are fairly light. Now, again, last night we said we would totally eliminate that rain shower activity from the picture, but at least the steady, heavy stuff is done. So I think we can deal with this. But two things that are changing right now, you probably already know it. A, the wind, and B, the colder temperatures. And you can see what's happening with the colder air. The rain is changing to snow in northern Indiana. And this little wraparound piece of moisture will come through late tonight, early tomorrow morning. It's entirely conceivable that some of the high ground areas away from the lake, you may wake up with a little cosmetic coating on grassy surfaces and rooftops. Now, it's not super cold, but it's cold enough for that. 38 Findlay, 36 at Cincinnati and Dayton. That's the coldest. Mildest, as far east as you can get, at least on this map, 53 degrees in Youngstown, but that's going to change too. Look at these huge temperature declines in just 24 hours. Almost 20 degrees in Cincinnati, almost 30-degree drop for Lexington, Kentucky. And the result of that big temperature shift is a tornado watch out to the east. We have the high wind advisories and the warnings by the lakeshore. And interior, just a big old area of freeze warnings that are in effect as the colder air wraps in. So the big change is here, and by 9 o'clock tonight, that precip moves out. We'll stop the action at 5 a.m. This computer model showing a little band of some lake effect or lake enhanced snow inland that may continue until about 9 o'clock. After that, things should settle down, but we have another system upstream that may once again reignite the lake heading into the latter part of the weekend. And snowfall tonight, again, very light cosmetic coating. The darker the blue, the better the chance of waking up to that light cosmetic coating. Grassy surfaces, rooftops, not necessarily the roadways. They're just too mild. That's the great thing about this time of year. The roadways are still mild after a mild day. We had a high of 65 today, 30 to 35 tonight. Huge temperature drop, windy, cold. Winds could gust past 50. And after midnight and toward morning, there could be a wintry mix, and inland far enough, high enough in the ground, there could be just a straight old wet snow that you wake up to. Doesn't look like anything big, but we'll keep our eyes on it. Morning snow and mix will come to an end. Then the windy conditions slowly abating. We could still see winds of 30. A quiet Saturday, but Saturday night and Sunday, there's that next system that could give us that period of snow again in the lake effect areas. And next week, cool. In fact, at the end of this 8-day, Thursday, Friday, look at that, 30s for highs.
Thanks
so
for
it's going to
nothing.
be cold for
Thanks
November.
for nothing.
Yeah,
Those are
you're
some
welcome.
scary
My pleasure.
numbers on Halloween. A close call on the highway still ahead. What a distracted driver was doing when he smashed into an ODOT truck on the side of the highway.
She ran barefoot through rocks and sticks to make sure she didn't let her team down. She's smiling now. She's a hero. What causes high school athlete to lose her shoe in the middle of a race?
Download the Fox 8 app today and get breaking news, weather, and more, all on your smartphone or tablet. Presented by GanleyNissan.com.
Hi, everybody. Brown's going to face that rookie quarterback Brandon Allen Sunday in Denver, where today the team also announced officially Joe Flacco has that bulging disc in his neck, and he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, if not more. And as the Browns practice today inside the Casey Coleman Fieldhouse, both Jarvis Landry and OBJ moved better as they are dealing with injuries. OBJ said it's still an in-game curve for his chemistry with Baker, but says it's time to turn it on. Jarvis says they are real close to eliminating mistakes and getting their offensive groove on.
I feel like the turnovers and the penalties are two things that, hurts any team, hurts any great offense, and if you look at great offenses, they don't really have penalties and turnovers. So we got to figure out a way to eliminate that so that we can be able to move forward.
Not sure how many games the Cavaliers will win this year, but I will say this. It's going to be fun watching the kids like Darius Garland, Kevin Porter Jr., and the second-year star Colin Sexton complimenting the veterans like Tristan and K-Love and company. In fact, I can say with confidence, the Cavaliers lead the league in having players dressed as Jason doing post-game interviews.
In that fourth quarter, I thought we made big plays. Tristan was a monster. Colin got down the floor. KP hit some big shots. Our bench played great. And I really hear an echo in this mass, so it's hard for me to put together a solid answer.
That's great stuff. Well, real tough news for the Warriors. They lost Kevin Durant, of course, then Klay Thompson's injured, and now their sharpshooter, Steph Curry, breaking his hand, his left hand. He's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks at the minimum. That is just tough news. Let's head to those polls till 9 o'clock tonight. Fox8.com and vote for the Friday night touchdown game of the week here in Week 10. After football tonight, we will give you the winner, and those are 4 real good choices. And though they play on Saturday, the huge rivalry between Massillon and McKinley gets going once again at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. Guys, it's the 130th meeting of these two teams. Both teams have huge playoff aspirations, but not before they try to do what many kids in those communities dreamed of doing. They wake up each day hoping that they get a chance to play in the game. And that's what's taking place on Saturday.
It was neat to see the Cavs having fun with Halloween.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Kevin Love.
We're all bigger Kevin Love fans after that.
Yeah, that's
was
cool.
great. Thank you, Johnny. As we fall back, you may fall out of touch with the rest of the world. Still ahead, hear why certain Apple products won't work after this weekend's time change and what you can do right now to prevent it.
And our trick-or-treat trackers are out in full force from the east side to the west side. How is everyone holding up in tonight's wicked forecast? We'll have live reports next. Well, tonight is all about the candy, but we can't sugarcoat this. The weather is just flat out miserable.
Yeah, check out the flag right there. It is windy, it is rainy, and some communities have decided to hold off on trick-or-treat till the weekend. One person who never gives up on the weather is our dear friend Andre. Andre, your forecasts are always spot on because you're in the weather. You're out there.
That's right. We can't get current conditions wrong because I'm standing in it. And I'm sure glad that I brought this heavier jacket. 2 hours, 3 hours ago, didn't need it at all. In fact, it was very comfortable, 60s. But we had the heavy rain, so we traded the rain for the colder air and the wind. So we at least have one element tonight that we didn't have from 6 hours ago, and that is that heavy rain. Where is it? It's out in Pennsylvania and working through Virginia and the eastern part of West Virginia. Very heavy rains there, as a matter of fact. On the tail end, there are some snow showers that are curling into northern Indiana, and a few of those could visit us later tonight. But for the time being, we're just dealing with cloudy skies, a few stray showers, and wind. Notice the new report from Hopkins Airport, updated. Wind speed sustained to 32, now gusting to 47 miles per hour. It's the highest gust we can find. 43 Lorraine, 41 Burke Lakefront, and I can vouch for that here in the front yard. It's pushing me around, and it's pulling the colder air in. 46 Cleveland, 41 Columbus. Notice a whole slew of 30s to the west. Underneath the 30s, some snow showers. Some of us in the snow belt and the high ground might wake up to a little candy coating of snow tomorrow morning. We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll show you more coming up.
Can't believe we're talking about snow. Thank you, Andre. As little ghosts and goblins head out for trick or treat, the most frightening thing they'll encounter are the terrible weather conditions that we have been talking about.
We set our official trick or treat trackers out to keep an eye on conditions. One on the west side, one on the east side. We begin with Jack Shea in Bay Village. Jack, how are conditions there? What a great backdrop you have.
Thank you very much, Lou. Happy Halloween to everyone. It's a little chilly, a little windy, but the rain has stopped. Everyone's happy about that. As you know, many communities decided to reschedule their Halloween festivities for the weekend, but here in Bay Village, the show must go on.
I see you guys are all ready for snow this year, huh? Oh, yeah. Have a good Halloween.
Thank you.
One of the most frightening streets in Greater Cleveland on Halloween is Elmwood Road here in Bay Village. A number of residents here are members of the Cleveland Haunt Club and try to outdo each other with their Nightmare on Elmwood displays. There are so many trick-or-treaters here each year that they close down the street to traffic, and they feel it's even more important this year with the conditions. AAA says studies have shown that Halloween is the deadliest night for pedestrian accidents, and that's why police are asking parents to make sure their kids are easy to see while they are trick-or-treating by using flashlights and wearing reflective clothing. Parents here in Bay Village are being cautious about the threatening weather.
I mean, it's always a tradition, so I mean, you kind of feel like you have to do it. And I just have a young child, so we're just going to limit the time out and kind of speed through the neighborhood, check everything out. I mean, it's pretty windy and it's a little chilly, but I mean, it's the end of October in Cleveland. What do you expect?
Now, we are told that when the weather is nice, they can have up to 3,000 trick-or-treaters here in this neighborhood. Lou and Tracy, because of the chill and because of the winds, they're expecting a little smaller crowd, but still, we see a lot of kids out here with their parents trick-or-treating.
That is pretty incredible, and what fun on that street there. Jack, thanks so much.
Yeah, they do it up right on Elmwood. Now let's check out the east side where we find Suzanne Stratford. Obviously, Sue's very cold and very windy where you are tonight in Paynesville.
Lou and Tracy, it is getting a little windy and cold here in Paynesville tonight. Just within the last 15-20 minutes or so, the winds started really kicking up. We actually saw some of the decorations rolling down the street. Kind of scary, the weather, as you might say, as you said. A little frightening out here, but it's not slowing anything down. They get about 500, 700 kids in this neighborhood right here on Liberty Street alone, and we've been seeing them coming out in force here. However, everybody making sure that they are bundled up. We're seeing lots and lots of layers, and unfortunately, some trick-or-treaters telling us they had to put those winter coats over top of their costumes because it's just so cold and windy. However, they are out here. They are having a great time. Halloween is a big deal right here in this neighborhood in particular. The families all get together afterward, although tonight they say they might not be able to do that because it's just too uncomfortable. And some of the kids telling us the only thing they've come across so far is it's a little slower getting the candy because people have their doors closed. So it takes a little longer to get that candy. But moms tell us that getting ready for tonight, they were just watching the forecast and hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst.
Just super nervous because we always have friends and family over, and obviously the kids like to run around and play. It's going to be a bit tough with it being as cold and windy as it is, and hopefully not as rainy as they're thinking it's going to be.
So hopefully they were hoping, but it is. So I don't know. You know, it's Halloween. The kids want the free candy. They're coming out no matter what. That's basically it in a nutshell, right? But be safe. And as Jack said, we'd like to reiterate, we saw police officers going through. There's a fire truck right there. They're just reminding everyone to keep your eyes out for those trick-or-treaters, especially with these types of conditions.
All right, it looks like so far so good. A pretty good crowd out there in Paynesville as you fight the wind. Thanks so much, Suzanne.
Yeah, and like the dad said in Jack Shea's report tonight, it's late October in Cleveland. This is how it goes. As we mentioned, some communities rescheduled for this weekend. Our web team has continued to update the running list of dates and times on fox8.com. Just click on Seen on TV.
New at 6, the dash cam inside an ODOT truck was rolling when it was rear-ended by a distracted driver. This happened around 2:30 this morning in the eastbound lanes of I-90 just before the Route 2 split in Euclid. The truck was in the left lane when the driver of a Jeep Liberty drifted over and crashed into it. The driver admitted he was on his phone. No one was hurt.
Have you heard about this one? Your phone or your iPad might not work after the time change. Still ahead tonight, right here. Details on a glitch and what you need to do right now to make sure it's still working on Sunday.
I had to get back up with the pack that I was with because I had to do it for my team.
No shoe, no problem. How a high school athlete managed to finish a race through rocks and twigs with only one shoe.
I'm Amanda Berry. Please stop for just a second and look at your TV. You might recognize this missing person. This is Nyla Whitaker. She's 16 and was last seen October 3rd in Akron. That day, Nyla was dropped off at Towpath Trail High School and was told to come straight home after school. She hasn't been seen since. That day, Nyla wore colorful leggings, a black t-shirt, and black Puma sandals. Have you seen her? Akron Police want to hear from you. You can reach Detective Ross at 330-375-2530. You can read about Nyla and other missing people anytime on fox8.com. Share their stories and help bring them home. I'm Amanda Berry, Fox 8 News.
Fox 8 in Colleague Giving would like to salute Debbie Rowland as one of Cleveland's own. Debbie runs a nonprofit called Capes of Courage. The group's mission is simple. Volunteers sew capes of love and bravery to give hope to children with an illness, special needs, or everyday life struggles. The nonprofit started in Akron and now has affiliates across the U.S.
And throughout the month of November, Fox 8 and Colleague Giving would like to pay tribute to local veterans as Cleveland's own. We're so honored to be able to do this, but we do need your help. You can submit a photo of a veteran and tell us about their service just by heading to fox8.com and then clicking on Seen on TV. Look for the link to Cleveland's own, and your loved one could be among those we honor next month. Well, it is certainly a heartbreaking statistic here. Veterans make up about 10% of the nation's homeless, and in some areas, that number's even higher.
Well, today the VA hospital in Cleveland connected with others to help homeless vets around here get into a new home for the holidays. Roosevelt Leftwich has this story.
The last thing I wanted to do after 55 years was go to a homeless shelter.
For former Coast Guard seaman Thomas Loy, 3 things happened in less than a year that put him on the streets. First, he lost his sight to an aggressive eye disease. Next, a trusted friend took his savings. Then, he was evicted. But Thomas says he still felt he didn't need help.
I decided to stay on the street for 30 days and tough it out because I was afraid that I would get put somewhere where they would forget about me.
You see, Loy has always been an independent kind of guy. He joined the Coast Guard back in the 80s to do search and rescue and worked in small boats on the Great Lakes and in the Caribbean. So for a man who spent so much time helping others, he was reluctant to ask for help until he was able to connect with the VA Supportive Housing Program.
Some of them have just fallen on hard times and found themselves unable to live on their own. Maybe they've struggled with trying to adjust to life after the military, and what does that look like? Right. And so we're here to help them reach whatever goals they may have.
The program connects veterans with housing vouchers and support through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. At this housing fair, homeless vets get connected to landlords who have apartments or houses that are available to rent, and housing officials locally help cut through the red tape.
We, as CMHA, will expedite the contract process. So we will fast track the inspection, fast track the contracting inspection so that at the end of the day, they have a home for the holidays.
Right up here.
And with that red tape cut and a voucher in hand, Loy will try to get a chance to find a new apartment in Parma. And getting out of VA housing and into his own home and being independent again for him is a true gift.
It's going to be great. I've been dealing with this since last August of 2018, so I'm kind of looking forward to finding some stability for a change.
In Cleveland, Roosevelt Leftwich, Fox 8 News.
Great to see him getting some help.
Say it all the time, you know, anything for the vets, so the VA and the CMHA and everybody else helping out. It's a great program.
Hopefully things work out for him as well. All right, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Trick-or-treaters are out there right now in the wind.
And if anywhere near the lakeshore, they're joined by still a number of muckleheads. You should see the front walls just splattered with muckleheads.
Even now?
Well, they're now holding still because they're getting cold and they're like,
Sure.
That's right, they're frozen.
Crazy stuff. But yeah, in the next 24 hours or so, I think that will be done with a lot of those insects doing the same. Well, a little bit ago, we had a lot of heavy rain, and obviously you don't need me to tell you that because we all lived through it. It was raining at a pretty good clip for most of today. This is North Canton. We start the time lapse at 12:46, put it into motion. You will notice, though, toward the end of the time lapse, right about here, we're starting to see some breaks and starting to see the places where the clouds are lifting. But you can also see that parts of the parking lot at Faith Family Church here in North Canton, right along I-77, still a bit on the wet side. Now, it's nowhere near the density of the and the coverage of the rain showers that we had from earlier, but they're still out there. So it's entirely possible that you'll run into a rain shower, and a wind-driven rain shower at that. The winds are now out of the southwest, west in a few places like Lorain and Akron Canton. This is the important side right here, wind gusts. And look at that number, 47 mile-an-hour wind gusts at Hopkins Airport, 43 at Lorain. It's entirely possible with the wind warning that we could see gusts of 50 miles per hour. 65 was the high today, and that was obviously much earlier in the day, and now the low has gone under 51. That 51 was from the morning. Now we're in the 40s. So essentially whatever the temperature is at midnight is going to be the overnight low for today. Normal's 57. Well, we can say goodbye to this number, and we can say goodbye to that number too, because as we head over into the month of November, we've got a ton of cold air. It's been so cold out to the west in the Rockies that we've seen a lot of record lows, sometime all-time records. Some of the snow will start to curl in here later tonight, 30 to 35, that wintry mix after midnight, and you could wake up to a local cosmetic coating, and a high only 43 tomorrow. Right now, it stays cold, but it dries out a little Saturday. Next system, Saturday night, Sunday, lake effect could whiten up the ground there too. Just a little bit, just to let you know that we are in the month of November, and then we could see some really cold air at the end of next week.
Yikes. Thanks, Andre. Well, it's rain today, but it'll be snow before you know it. So what are we in for this winter? Will the lake effect crank up, or will we see a mild winter? Don't miss the Fox 8 weather team's winter weather forecast tomorrow at 6 p.m. Well, Apple is warning owners of older iPhones and iPads that if they don't update their devices to the latest iOS software by Sunday, they won't be able to connect to the internet. Products from 2012 and earlier will need the update in order to maintain accurate GPS location required to use the App Store, iCloud, email, and web browsing. Apple says that it's all because of the GPS time rollover issue, where GPS devices need to reset in order to accurately measure time and dates.
Well, she was a shoo-in for victory, even though She only had one shoe. Still ahead here tonight, why a dedicated teammate was forced to run the rest of her race with one bare foot.
And it's Spirit Week at Hoover High School, and students there celebrated by taking over our Fox 8 Instagram page. These kids are going to be our co-workers someday. They showed off their amazing TV program, and you can check out more pictures from North Canton Hoover High on our Fox 8 Instagram page. A local high school cross-country team will compete in the state championships this weekend, thanks in part to the heroic efforts of one of their teammates.
That runner had to run with only one shoe after losing a shoe during the race, carrying it across the finish line. Dave Nethers has her story.
At Jackson High School in Stark County, Coach Kevin Walsh's wall is filled with reflections of cross-country success.
We have a very large team, great group of individuals. I mean, this will be our 26th team between the boys and girls that advanced to the state meet.
Sophomore Sophia Eisnick is a huge part of their plan to get there.
I just love to run, so I constantly keep a constant pace, and then that's my race.
She's very modest. She's our #1 runner. She is our school record holder.
Heading into the regional meet in Boardman, Coach Kevin Walsh said the team had a strategy they'd worked on for months. Because of the weather, the girls had each taped their shoes to keep them from coming off in the mud.
I felt amazing at the beginning.
The first 600 meters couldn't have gone any better. And then, as I've told people, panic definitely set in.
Another runner had stepped on Sophia's foot, causing a shoe to come off. The shoe on which she had tied her all-important timing chip.
My first thought was just contemplating, do I put it on again? Do I try again? And then I realized I had to get back up with the pack that I was with because I had to do it for my team.
I look at the lead pack and I start scanning and I'm like, where'd she go? And then all of a sudden I see her behind that pack and she appears to be holding her shoe.
Unable to get the shoe back on because of the tape, Eisnick said she had to block out the agony of running over rocks and twigs with just a sock on her right foot.
But I knew I just had to block it out and take the pain because it was for my team.
I remember screaming at Sophia very calmly with about 800 meters to go that we need every single point and that, you know, you've got to pass as many as you can.
Eisnick still finishing third on her team, enough with her teammates' help for them to qualify for state.
Everything is, like I said, a learning experience, and I think it's part of the journey.
Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
In Jackson Township, Dave Nethers, Fox 8 News.
The legend of Sophia grows. Sophia finished with a few bruises on her foot, but expects to be in top shape for this weekend state meet in Columbus.
She is one tough cookie for sure. We want to thank you for joining us tonight at 6.
Elizabeth has Fox 8 News at 7.